Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Journey Experts, for joining us on Tourism Clinic today. It's the first session and obviously the first Monday in February. And I just wanted to thank you all first. We're now on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on Facebook. And the comments, the support has been amazing. I'm really feeling like it's a good thing that we decided to come to StreamYard, that we're able to share in several platforms. And thank you so much for your support, Mateja. So, I mean, as always, we're discussing international acceptable standards. And I mean, with everyone knows what the UNWTO is. A couple of us are connected to it actively, and some others are not. We're always in conversations about the UNWTO. But what exactly are their code of ethics, and what does that mean for us as tourism practitioners? That's what we're going to be discussing today. Over to you, Mateja.
Thank you very much, dear Esther. Thank you for having me at these tourism clinics. Our sessions on Monday for me here in the Northern Hemisphere in the afternoon.
Mm,
Today it's 4 p.m., so we are live just in case if somebody is worrying what's the time, how late it is. Actually, in my area, it's not so late. It's
mm.
4 p.m. during the normal working hour, and in 1 hour time I also start a city tour because a lot of people are now working, and after work there is also time for a relaxing city tour, and then maybe for the dinner. That's how a lot of our companies also treat their visitors. And yes, this is already a part of our topic, tourism, right? And
Mm,
today you decided that we are going to talk about the global code of ethics for tourism. And I think this is actually really very important because, every country organizes a bit differently how the tourism is run.
mm,
However, global is, I mean, the tourism is global business. So I think it is important that we have some ethics that we all stakeholders follow, and maybe also share with those ones who are unfamiliar with them. Since I am in the hotel waiting for my guests, I would really like you, Esther, to go to the next slide so that you
mhm,
can see what I prepared for you. Yeah. So first of all, I think a lot of people are wondering what is this GCET, so Global Code of Ethics in Tourism, right? And it's actually nothing else as a set of principles, right? And this set of principles, it was actually designed, developed by United Nations World Tourism Organization. So everybody, I think, who is somehow involved in tourism on a global level, we are also familiar with our Tourism Organization, right? And then
mm,
sometimes people say, hey, why do we need that, right? Well, actually, it's the same as the other day we talked about standards, remember, for let's say tourist guiding. So, all these principles actually are just a suggestion. So this is nothing to do with the legislation, right? Legislations are ran by our government. A lot of times are very rigid. Also, a lot of times to change a law, it's very difficult. Which I think in 21st century it's even more challenging because the situation on the market is changing so quickly. So actually, we really shouldn't have for everything a law, right? So things like this, like ethic, code of ethics, this is already something. So for us, that it's actually a kind of a guide, right? For us stakeholders, it's a guide in the tourism industry, and it's a guide for us that we developed our industry, our activities towards the responsible and sustainable tourism. Well, I think that about sustainability, we already talked in the last few sessions quite a lot. But on the other hand, this is really very important because our globe, our earth is so beautiful and we need to protect it, right? and of course we need to act
Mm,
responsible. So we are talking about the responsible and sustainable tourism, right? And you
mm,
know, these global ethics were adopted in 1999, so already quite a few years ago. And then, of course, also endorsed in 2001. Yes, yes, since this is a live session, I would also like to hear any of the comments, no matter where, or Instagram, or LinkedIn, or Facebook, so that we can develop our discussion even
right.
more
Ready.
intense. Yeah, and maybe then for the next slide, you know, Esther, because we already said that all these were organized, I would say, slightly less than 30 years ago, right?
Mm,
Well, definitely, I think one slide is even before. We are talking mainly about the key principles of the Global Code of Ethics in Tourism, because this is already point five. So, Esther, do we have point one as well? If you go a slide back, please.
yes, we do
Okay,
have
no, no,
that one.
it's just like this. Perfect. Thank you very
Mm,
much. So let's go to the next one. Yeah. So there are lots of these principles that we would like to share with you. As I said, we can go to a slide further. We have the topic number five, and this is actually about the right of workers and entrepreneurs, because tourism employs more and more people all around the globe. And I think this is an excellent opportunity also for the local communities. It's a very nice activity, servicing activity. So it's very good also for the locals. Let's say that they get education and then they share their cultural heritage with visitors, right? But on the other hand, we need to be aware that this is not a fun time, that for those ones who are working in tourism, it's actually a business, right? It's actually a job. So we need to follow those rights of workers and entrepreneurs as well. And of course, we need to work on protecting those rights, right? Then there is another, I think, very important part. These are the obligations of tourism stakeholders, right? And they are encouraging us. As we said before, this is not a law, you know, this is not a legislation. It's just that showing us that we tourism stakeholders are determined, right? And here with this code of ethics, the United Nations of Tourism Organization, it's actually encouraging us to act responsible, but you know, not just towards the visitors, but also to the other partners that we are working in, because we are all, let's say, team members. So that means that we need to act responsible also to those ones. Another thing that I like it very much is that freedom of travel. So, you know, it is advocating that actually this travel industry should be open to everyone. The thing is, of course, not always possible, right? But this is something that we are trying to, that we are longing to. And I think the moment you start to try, then you're already on a halfway, right?
mm,
Uh, about tourism and the environment, at the moment, I wouldn't talk too much because we talked about that already in the previous sessions. But
mm,
just to let us know that this is already a part of this global ethics, right? And so all this cooperation that we already mentioned before between the governments, businesses, and stakeholders, because you know also governments, as I said before, they have a lot of times political issues, but this is actually a professional issue, and sometimes we just need to remind our governments that we are there and there are maybe some topics that they need to be included in their politics. So, as professionals, it is our duty that we include them, of course, with a bit of sensitivity also in our activities. So, these are the key principles of the GCET. And now, maybe we can go to the next slide. And then at the end, I'm sure that there will be some comments from our participants that we would be able to discuss about it, right? So the code consists of 10 articles. Okay, that's what we said before, right? The five of them we've done. Sorry, I think the slides are here a bit mixed up, but definitely this. No, no, it's fine. Esther, you can go back because I would like to mention that beneficiary part as well. So that from tourism we are all winners, or we should all be winners, and that everybody who is involved in this tourism industry should benefit, right? So no matter who that person is, on which side it is. No? About the vehicle being for a necessary vehicle for the sustainable development, I think we mentioned already quite a few times. And this is very important, that it's a factor in cultural enrichment, because of course all our heritage is there, but we would like to share it with our visitors, and not only share it, we would like also to interact this cultural heritage with our visitors, because at the end we all notice that we are actually one big culture, just very diverse. For example, this year International Tourist Guide Day is focused on peace. So tourist guide as peace ambassadors, and this is something, right? A lot of times, when we share our cultural heritage, people say, "Oh, this is something like we have. Oh, this is similar to what. Oh, this is so unique," and they start to appreciate, right? And also that it's a right. That's a very very important part. That tourism is actually a right, so that everybody has a right for a tourism activity, and that's why we are focusing so much to this accessibility. And today, every site has to be accessible, and also we stakeholders, we need to present or to interpret the destination in a way that it's accessible to everyone. So people with these special needs, as we say, we need to reach them as well, and that's why we need to follow some special. We need to develop some special skills. Yeah. So thank you very much, Esther. Now we can go a bit further. Yeah, accessibility. This is something that I would like to point out once again. So for especially for those ones, for example, when we restore a building from the past, a lot of times it's very difficult to organize how people maybe with some special needs in visual, that are visually impaired, or let's say in a wheelchair or something, how they will enter. But of course, we need to try our best, right? Just because of this code of ethics, yeah. And then impact and implementation. I think that I already opened some topics regarding that. So definitely, we need to be aware of all these code of ethics and the keys, and then we start to implement them as quickly as possible, right? And once again, this has nothing to do with the legislation. This has nothing to do with the constitution. This it has to do simply with code of ethics, how we behave in tourism industry in order to be, let's say, sustainable, accessible, and open-hearted to everyone. Yeah? Maybe one more slide, Esther. I think we have here, right? This is something that lots of times people say, "Hey, why should I bother with that? It takes too much time. I would like to get so many and so many visitors. I need to make this much and this much profit." But I think in a long run, these, let's say, principles that we are following, they are making us, or they are putting us on this stable path, and this is also sustainable, right? That we stay in the business in the long run. So we don't just enter, take a profit and go away, right? So that we are then branding also this ethical approach, and I think in a long run that will keep us afloat, that will keep us to stay on the market. So uh, code of ethics, I would say it's for those ones who are conducting tourism as a marathon, right? Not just in a short run, but in a long run, to become really responsible stakeholder. Huh? Also, the moment we start to follow this code of ethics, our partners, they will start to trust us. They will start to become loyal. And that means that we develop those relationships in a long run. And of course, that will help us also to stay in the business. So, again, sustainability. And comparing to the ones, let's say, in our environment who maybe don't put enough energy in this segment, I think this could be a very nice competitive advantage, right? So when we make a web page, or when we make an Instagram post or LinkedIn, or I don't know, even Facebook, right? We can label, we can point out that we are following this code of ethics, and that's what I think will give us a big advantage uh, comparing to the other ones in our area. Yeah. Someone is asking how these go to blend with their tour businesses. Well, as I think this slide
I
now
mean, you
we are
can,
talking about, yes, I think
yeah.
this one now it's answering the question. So I'm very happy that we already opened this topic. So definitely ethical branding, right? Then trust and loyalty towards our customers, and also to build up a competitive advantage towards, let's say, the other ones who are in the same businesses are. I would say that these are the key points. Yeah.
Mm. I mean, I definitely agree with you.
Okay.
We
Thank you
can
very much. I think
continue.
yes, we can continue. Because sometimes people say, yeah, too much energy, oh, something new again, out of the box thinking,
Mm.
you are setting us again out of the comfort zone. But still,
Right.
I think the community will be very thankful, right? Because
Mm.
in the community we are always representing the locals, right? And
Mm.
if we are going to say this is a part of our ethical approach, and we
Mm.
really want you to enjoy tourism as much as visitors, I think
Mm.
that the local community will like us much more than if we are just ignoring that. No? And
Mm.
then also the partnering, that we partner with those ones who think alike. Great minds think alike, right?
Right.
So maybe we can connect with these kind of partners. Also,
Mm.
overseas, also in other countries, and that's how we can help each other. Because if customer is going to be, let's say, satisfied with our services, if they will trust, right, they will say, hey, Esther, do you have somebody to recommend in France, or in, I don't know, in
True.
Egypt or in Madagascar? Nah?
Mm.
So we can help each other a lot. Nah? And of course, which is very important, and we also talk open quite often, is, let's say, minimalizing this negative impact, because tourism has or can have negative impact, but that we minimize them as much as possible. I think that this is something that also our neighbors will be very thankful to us.
Definitely agree. You want me to go to the next?
Yeah. Then another thing which is very important, and I like it very much, is that good energy comes together. So that means that with branding of these code of ethics, we are going to attract also different travelers. We are going to attract social responsible travelers. So that means that all these great minds will come together again, and we are going to have even more joy. So maybe at the moment, we think, oh, who takes care of that and so on. But no, 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 no. People do like to support all our efforts. They all would like to know if we are following this global code of ethics, right? So it's, let's say, a cross-border policy, and I think there are visitors. So that could be a very nice niche market for us. Huh? And definitely, this is then the positive word, right? As we said before, they would like to know, hey, do you have somebody like that? Do you have there and there and there? So the word of mouth. I mean, Of course, you can get also reviews on the social media, right? But
Mm,
if you will recommend something personally, I think they will trust even more. Huh? And
true.
all again, I think in the long run is this long-term sustainability that we are trying to reach so much. We will have to work hard for that, but still, this is one very good way, very nice vehicle to achieve the sustainability in the long run.
Mm,
And maybe, yes, just for the final touch, right?
right.
Just for the a kind of a wrap up, right?
Mm,
Definitely, by integrating this global code of ethics in tourism, principles, businesses, and destinations. So all, businesses and destinations can create a very nice positive impact on the society and the environment. And then, of course, they will also benefit. So that means that they will enhance the trust, community support, and customer loyalty. Because we are all team, and we need to act as a team. So that means environment, the community, we as stakeholders, and of course the visitors as a part of this activity as well. So that's
mm.
what I wanted to present to you tonight. And now, Esther, if there is any other question or maybe your comment, I would be more than happy to discuss.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a couple of things to say, and I think that this topic is very essential. And I know that the UN has like this tourism academy, and it was through that academy that I also realized that some of the ways that we define tourism is quite different from how the UN defines it, United Nations tourism. And I think it's important that we understand the goal of the body, the ethics driving the body, then we'll be able to like measure their immediate impact in our environment, because I think that from the conversations here, this topic is quite new for a lot of people.
Yes.
Some of them they know about the UN, but they're not actively involved. So it's more like it's the stakeholders in those communities that are more involved than the small businesses. So I mean, I hope
Yeah,
that this.
but you see, it's you said new, right? But it has been here around already for 24 years. So that just
Mhm,
means that the message was not maybe sent around
mm,
properly, or we were not attentive enough. I mean, it's
mm,
still there.
mhm,
It has always been there. But
yeah.
I think the more we talk about it, the
Mm.
more our partners will know about it.
I definitely agree. So I think we need to continually, and thank God for places like this where we get to like have these kind of conversations.
True,
Because
true.
sometimes the assumption at the top is that the key people, the stakeholders know about it. Okay, maybe the local environment will know about it, which is not always true in all cases. So
No, 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 no. I think that all, what the road tourism is organizing, we as partners or stakeholders, we should just incorporate that in our businesses so we can take the advantage of it. There was a suggestion of global code of ethics, so we
mhm.
just need to accept them and then implement them in our businesses, and that's already a part of being a team of this tourism activity, world tourism activity.
I mean, that's interesting too. But I'm wondering though, is it possible for a tour agent or a tour company to implement implement these codes without the proper signage of maybe governmental bodies, national bodies
Yes.
in that particular destination?
Well, you are right. Now, sometimes you
Mm,
always say, oh, but the government says like this, but in our government is changing, but this and this. But this is over, I mean, this is higher than ethics, are always higher than politics.
mm,
Politics are changing, ethics
mm,
are not changing, right?
mm,
And if
mm,
we want to organize a sustainable business, we need to follow ethics. Of course, we
mm,
need to follow also the local legislation, right? But legislations, they change, but the ethics, they are staying. So the major point is, as you said, Esther, that we speak up about it,
mm,
that we point out, look, we are the ones. if, let's say, a tour operator is organizing a tour, why don't they include in the description of the tour, we are following the global code of ethics and we are doing on this tour this and this and this. So thank you very much for supporting the, let's say, the implementation of global code of ethics. So I think that more we need to point out, or on social media or in the programs that we are presenting, and I'm sure that customers will read that as well. And of course, also when the travelers come, then we present that, we interpret that as well. So we have a very important
Mm,
educational role.
mm. I definitely agree with you. I will keep having more sessions like this and keep opening up more topics and just keep playing our own role to make the industry better. Thank you so much
Yes.
for your time, Matea.
Mhm. Thank you very much for inviting me, and let's go out and make this world of tourism better.
Mm. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you next Monday.
See you. Thank you.